Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we got some crazy news from Wizards of the Coast. It seems that not every Universes Beyond set is even coming to MTG Arena. Now, a while back, they announced that all Universes Beyond sets going forward would be standard legal, not like we got with Lord of the Rings where it was only legal in Modern, because they wanted the newer players coming in with those sets to be able to transition to playing Magic in the most easily accessible and most efficient ways as possible. And so obviously transitioning to standard before trying to get them into more complicated formats just makes the most sense. So I sort of understand the idea of all of these Universes Beyond sets being in standard, but for not all of them to be on Arena, some of them will be and some of them won't be, seems kind of crazy. Now, we're going to go through the entire article and we're going to read exactly what they have to say about this. It's not going to affect every single set. There are some sets that it will affect. There are some sets that it won't affect. And they've got a really kind of crazy solution for how they're going to deal with this to keep parity as far as physical Magic with MTG Arena Magic, and we'll get into all of that and my thoughts and opinions on it after we read the article. I do have some examples to show at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. And before we dive in, please like the video. It helps me get it out to more people. Subscribe if you're new, because I have a ton of crazy stuff on the way. I appreciate that stuff so much, guys. And let's dig into this. So we're going to start here with this article. Through the Omen Paths and Digital Universes Beyond updates. Every time we release a Universes Beyond set, we get a similar question: is this going to be on Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering Online? I'm not really so much of an MTGO player, so I'm not worried about that part. We've typically handled this on a set-by-set basis with an answer that has either been fully yes or demonstrably no. We'd love for the answer to always be yes, but sometimes things just don't work out that way, yada yada yada. Enter Through the Omen Paths. This is what they're calling Through the Omen Paths. A Through the Omens Path release will be a digital set that are universes within versions of Universes Beyond sets that otherwise wouldn't be coming to digital Magic platforms altogether. So basically, there are some sets that can't come to digital Magic at all, probably because of licensing fees and all sorts of complicated business stuff, which is just kind of silly, but we'll get to my opinions at the end. These digital cards will be mechanically identical to their Universes Beyond tabletop counterparts, but with unique creative treatments, different art, and different names. So basically, every single Universes Beyond set that cannot come to MTG Arena is going to get a matching Universes Within set called a Through the Omen Path set that will be functionally identical to that Universes Beyond set, except it won't actually be the same cards in name and in flavor. They'll have completely different names, completely different art, but functionally work exactly the same as the Universes Beyond set coming in standard, which just seems like it's way more complicated than it needs to be, but again, we'll get to my opinions at the end. We will not be creating Through the Omen Path sets mirroring every Universes Beyond set, only the ones that will not be coming to digital platforms. This lets our formats remain mechanically at parity with one another, digitally, without having to create patchwork solutions here or there, which I completely understand, and I'm behind that part of it. We are also currently only planning to create Through the Omen Paths releases for full sets that are legal in all formats. So if they do some crazy Universes Beyond Secret Lair, or some kind of a smaller release like a Commander set, something like that, a Commander deck or whatnot, they're not necessarily going to do these Through the Omen Paths Universes Within versions of that. Only the full sets that are legal in every format like Standard. For the remainder of 2025, 2 Universes Beyond sets will be coming to MTG Arena and Magic Online, and that'll be Final Fantasy and Avatar: The Last Airbender. So the first Universes Beyond set and the third Universes Beyond set coming out this year will still come to MTG Arena as normal. Here's where it gets crazy. One 2025 set, Magic the Gathering Marvel's Spider-Man set, as well as future Marvel sets, will not be coming to digital Magic platforms. Instead, we will release our first Through the Omen Path set on September 23rd, which will be basically the release day for Spider-Man, and we'll have more information on that set as we get closer to the release date. This seems just insane. So I have some examples to show you guys, and we're gonna get into my thoughts on this as well. So let me click over here. These are, along the bottom row here, you can see these are the Street Fighter. I believe that they came in a secret lair. I believe it was a Street Fighter secret lair. These cards were released. And then up top here, you can see that they have a universes within counterpart to these cards. So for example, in the bottom left, we have Chun-Li, Countless Kicks. She's a 3-drop in Azorius, a 3/3, has multi-kicker, is a legendary human soldier, has a text box, yada yada. And then up above, you can see Zethy, Arcane Blade Master, which is exactly the same, is also a 3/3, is a 3-drop in Azorius, also has multi-kicker, is also a legendary human soldier, and has the exact same abilities. So functionally identical to Chun-Li, just isn't Chun-Li. It's Zethy, Arcane Blade Master. Different art, different name, and that's really the only difference. And you can see the same thing here for Dhalsim, with Thaddeus, Juniper Ascendant, and then Guile, Sonic Soldier, is Imard, the Storm Cleaver, and Zangief, the Red Cyclone, is Marika, Brutal Gladiator. And then we've got 4 more examples here with E Honda, and Ryu, and Ken, and Blanca, and their matching cards, Baldin, Vikia, Aisha, and the Howling Abomination. So basically, this is kind of insane, right? So they're going to be doing this for an entire set. The Spider-Man set that comes out at the end of September will not be coming to Arena, but we will get this functionally identical set. Every single card mechanically that comes out in Spider-Man will get a matching card in the MTG Arena set that will also be releasing at the same time, but it's not going to be a Spider-Man set in MTG Arena. It's going to be a random planar set within the MTG universe. Are we going to see returning characters in that set? Are we going to see planeswalkers? Are we going to see any of the legendary characters that we've come to love represented within that set? Or are they going to be all brand new characters and ideas? And it gets really complicated when you start thinking, like, are the characters that they introduce in this alternative set going to be characters that are explored further in future sets? Does this have a lore or story to match it? If it doesn't, is there going to be a whole bunch of wasted IP potential on really cool, interesting arts and characters that maybe should have lore, and that we're wondering about the lore surrounding them, but we don't get any lore because they're just this alternative set on MTG Arena, and none of it actually exists as a physical product? It gets really, really complicated. Another thing that I ask myself is, do we get them almost like they used to do the Godzilla cards, where they're, rebranding, re-arts, if you will, of cards that are functionally identical? But then when we got the Godzilla cards, the Godzilla treatments with the Godzilla arts, it actually showed the name of the original card in a smaller box underneath the Godzilla name. Are we gonna get any of that? I'm gonna guess no. I think this solution comes out of problems with licensing and having to pay Marvel probably huge licensing fees to use the cards digitally. So they probably can't use those names, those characters' names, digitally. And likewise, I don't think they would bother to use the names of this, like, fake in-universe matching set on the actual Spider-Man cards that release physically, because that kind of defeats the entire point of having a Spider-Man set physically if every single card in the whole set has a second name that has nothing to do with Spider-Man printed on the card. So it gets really complicated, and it really just kind of brings me back full circle, wondering why they even bothered to do a full-on Universes Beyond standard legal Spider-Man set if it couldn't come to any of the digital platforms. It's super confusing. I really don't know where their heads are at, but I feel like they're kind of just getting way too in the weeds and digging their hole a little bit deeper. And the plus side of this, I'm going to give what I think about it, the good side and the bad side. The plus side, the good side to this is, for those of us who mostly play Arena, we don't necessarily have to constantly put up with Spider-Man being in Standard for 3 years and having to, you know, wanting to immerse ourselves in our fantasy game and having to constantly deal with Spider-Man popping up, you know, when we're playing in the ranked queue and stuff, playing against opponents that are using all those cards. Instead, we're going to get these in-universe versions of the cards, and we can feel a little bit more immersed. But it's still kind of complicated. Like, when I make deck tech videos, as a content creator, I get confused. Like, when I make deck tech videos, am I supposed to make the deck tech as if it's covering physical Magic and list the cards from the Spider-Man set as their Spider-Man names and images, or do I cover it, since I create all of my deck tech content on Arena, do I cover the Arena versions with the Arena names and show the Arena cards? Do I somehow try to do a mix? It gets super complicated, and it also gets super complicated from a marketing perspective, because I feel like the most important part of Arena for Wizards, in my opinion, is the fact that Arena is a really good marketing tool for the physical product. You know, people get to try it out without having to spend as much money, see what cards they're really liking, and then get excited about the set and maybe go buy it physically. But you can't really do that. It gets super complicated. You're playing with cards that don't exist physically, and if you're a casual player, you have to, like, jump through all these hoops and figure out, like, which of those cards are what in the actual set, and it gets, I don't know, overly complicated. I just feel like this whole thing is kind of a mess. And they confirmed that this is happening for Spider-Man. It's not happening for Final Fantasy. It's not happening for Avatar, but it will happen for all of the future Marvel sets. And again, this just makes me really question, like, why they're going to such lengths to make these standard legal Marvel sets if they can't even include them in MTG Arena. And I'm also assuming Magic the Gathering Online, because they did mention digital formats in general. I don't know what they're thinking, guys. It seems kind of crazy to me, and I think it's going to be more complicated and more problematic once the time comes to actually release that stuff and play with it than Wizards maybe thinks it will. I could see how you might be able to convince yourself ahead of time that it's not a big deal. Like, oh, they're functionally the same. People can have the same mechanical experience on Arena as they can physically. And, like, it's not any more complicated than that. Let's just put it out of our mind. It'll be fine. But I feel like there's just so many smaller complications when it actually comes time to do it that might be overlooked. And I don't know where this is going, man. I feel like Wizards is kind of digging their hole deeper with what I think is a mistake of doing all Universes Beyond in Standard and, you know, changing to doing 3 Universes Beyond sets a year as standard legal sets, and having only, you know, having 6 standard legal sets and having half of them be Universes Beyond, I think was a mistake to begin with. And this just seems like they're digging that hole deeper. So I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. I feel like we're just kind of scratching the surface of how problematic this might be in a lot of different small ways that might seem like they're negligible at first, but I honestly feel like are going to add up to creating a very problematic experience and make it really, really hard, especially for newer players or more casual players, to sort of go back and forth between playing Magic digitally and physically. Just feels like a mess. So let me know in the comments how you're feeling about it. Please like the video, help me get it out to more people, and subscribe if you're new. I'll keep covering this absolute garbage dumpster of a situation for sure as we learn more information. But for now, this feels super weird. I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy, but I guess we'll see. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.